Here in Bowling Green, Topper Walk has turned into a 3-game sprint toward another Conference USA title trip. Gone is Brandon Downey, the record-setting quarterback from a year ago. But the transfer Mike White is here, hoping to lead the Hilltoppers to a 4th straight win. WKU, FIU, next on beIN Sports. Welcome to Bowling Green, Kentucky, Houchin Smith Stadium, the site of our broadcast this afternoon. A beautiful November afternoon for college football, Conference USA. On beIN Sports, the FIU Panthers, the WKU Hilltoppers, in a matchup of a couple of teams still trying to sort out their postseason destinations. WKU on a 3-game win streak after a bump in the road at La Tech. FIU has run the gauntlet against the top teams in Conference USA. They're on a 2-game skid, trying to snap out of it. Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us alongside a guy that knows a few things about the postseason, the former Miami All-American Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci. Well, you never missed a bowl game. What does this last month of the college football season mean?
It's the reason why you're playing college football as a college football player. It's the bowl gifts. It's to be able to play into December. It's bringing your family in at the end of the year. It's all that college football is all about.
And for these two teams, their respective scenarios, FIU needs to win out over the course of these next 3 games to even get back to a bowl game. For WKU, a run through Conference USA a year ago with Brandon Downey, and if they win out, they're headed back to the Conference USA title game.
Yeah, but FIU, unfortunately for them, has seen 2 of the hardest-looking teams in this conference with Middle Tennessee State. Coming down to the wire last week, did a great job after a 21-point deficit in the first 6 minutes of that game, but ultimately coming back at the end and giving up a pick 6. But seeing the week before, another great team with La Tech as well.
Yeah, certainly running that gauntlet once again, and they have to face this defense, one of the best tandems in all of Conference USA. Mike White, the guy who came in for Brandon Downey, and he has the best target in the history of the school, made in Taiwan Taylor.
Yeah, it seems like Taiwan's on another route to a big year. He had 1,500 yards last year, and Mike White, a guy that had 5 games of over 300 yards. Looks like they're on their way to a beautiful year, both of them.
The question that Jeff Brom had asked before the season, was Mike White tough enough? I have a question for you. Is this the best duo in terms of QB wide receiver in Conference USA?
Unfortunately not. I think La Tech might have a little bit of an argument there. They got a couple wide receivers actually over 1,000 yards right now. You got Higgins and Taylor, but they also have Henderson as well. Then you're also looking over with Stockstill and James over in Middle Tennessee. Both of these teams, La Tech and Middle Tennessee, have been seen by FIU.
Moving over to the road team for FIU, of course, we saw the firing of Ron Turner in between our last 2 visits to see the Panthers. A change in energy under head coach Ron Cooper, and one of the guys that's really benefited was Thomas Owens.
Yeah, Thomas Owens started out the year a little bit slow, probably the first 4 weeks of this season. Then getting a little bit of a fire lit up underneath him, has been absolutely dominating over the last 5 weeks. You could see his numbers are stellar. A big wide receiver that likes to go up and pull the ball down. He even likes a little bit of contact once in a while.
And was really flourishing with the quarterback Alex Magoo, but the unfortunate thing today, Magoo out with an injury, and Maurice Alexander having to face a tough front 7 for Western Kentucky.
Yeah, we already saw Maurice with his first start at the beginning of the season. Didn't really do too well. Hopefully he's going to have a better day today. An uphill battle going against this WKU defense.
As for the missing piece, Alex Magoo almost engineered an upset over Middle Tennessee. For more on him, down to the 3rd member of our team. First trip to Bowling Green, Kentucky, for sideline reporter Jordan Daigle.
Thank you, Matt. Well, we found out last night that starting quarterback Alex Magoo is out with a wrist injury that he sustained in last week's game. I just talked with Coach Cooper, and he said they made the decision to pull him Tuesday morning after an x-ray showed that Alex was going to need surgery, and they didn't waste any time on that. Alex underwent that surgery on Wednesday, and he is still questionable for the rest of the season. Coach also told me that we can expect to see both Christian and Maurice Alexander under center tonight. Matt?
Jordan, thank you. And of course, missing the tight end, Jonnu Smith as well, an undisclosed injury for Smith. FIU, though, and Alexander will get the football first as we look at Ron Cooper, the interim head coach. Multiple stops, 3-2 since taking over. And the kickoff from Ranella ends up down in the end zone by the guy they call A1, Alex Gardner.
And we get a look at Maurice Alexander and this FIU offense. A year ago, a little bit rough in terms of this series. Didn't score until the fourth quarter. It was an Alex Gardner touchdown. Got to see Alexander the first time around. That was in the UCF game, what ended up being a blowout loss. A tough way to start that one before Magoo ended up coming back in the second half. See what the Panthers bring to the table today. They start off with Gardner as the lone setback. The play fake, and they waste no time going after him. Rolling it out, and good completion to start. Right off the bat, Stanley Thomas, a gain of 10 yards. Impact players for FIU.
Alex Gardner, the running back you were talking about earlier, Matt. They call him the A-Train. He's ready to go tonight. He's always good for 100 yards. Phenomenal running back on FIU Panthers side.
And of course, Darius Scott, a guy who has emerged in the last couple weeks. 5 catches, 68 yards in the loss to Middle Tennessee. They pick up the first down and put it on the ground. Gardner with a nice positive carry to get things started. 3-yard pickup, and the Hilltoppers impact players.
Yeah, unfortunately for Trent Saunders, he saw what Omarius Bryant can offer at that defensive tackle position. One of the guys I've been loving to talk about right now is Omarius Bryant. He's going to be one of the big fellas tonight, number 9, pushing that offensive line back into the backfield like you just saw sampled right there.
And I know you like Keith Brown, the Miami, Florida native, Norland High School. He's a grad student from Louisville. Start this up on first down, and another good completion. 2 for 2 to start. And there he is, Darius Scott, one of our impact players right off the bat.
Yeah, you can see they kept going with this thing back to the first play, the same pull and boot left. So they're looking at giving a couple boot, pull, and guard plays right there, and then going back to their wide receiver on the left-hand side of the field.
Only 6 of 16 a week ago with a 7-point loss to Middle Tennessee on third downs. That for Scott, his 10th catch of the year. 37% on the season in terms of trying to convert on third. Scott, bottom of your screen. Alexander going to try and take it himself, and that's where it stalls. Derek Overstreet, one of the ones to wrap him up, along with Nick Dawson-Brents, another Louisville transfer grad student.
Yeah, you see the defense right now going ahead and stemming to that bare front where they're covering both guards and the center with down linemen, and then they're going to go ahead and rush off of those guys. Big number 12 standing right there, getting off of his nice little block right now by Saunders, making that tackle for a minimal main gain.
And the first look at the punter, Stone Wilson, averaging about 38 yards a kick. Rugby style for Wilson. And Akarius Fant, who had been battling an ankle injury, the fair catch around the 24-yard line. So 2 minutes 9 seconds off the clock, and Jeff Brom will send his offense onto the field. Former San Francisco 49er backup, once stood behind Steve Young in his 3rd season as the WKU head coach, coming off a Miami Beach Bowl victory over USF. Went 12-2 and finished number 24 in the country a year ago. And his starting quarterback is, ironically, a USF transfer. Mike White has had himself quite the season. White hits Fant, wastes no time on that comeback pattern, and picks up 8, second down and 2. Impact players for the Hilltoppers on offense.
Yeah, usually you think I'd go with a quarterback or a wide receiver, but I'm going to go ahead and stick to my favoritism on the offensive line with Forrest Lamp, probably the most decorated player right now on this offense.
Yeah, Lamp, their best shot at an NFL prospect. And on 2nd and 2, wasting no time, they pick up the first down, 2 straight completions. And it ends up being Taywan Taylor, catch number 67 on the year, the impact players for FIU.
It's going to be all about their linebacking core, Matt. We had number 94, Marquise Cheeks, having a great week and a great couple weeks this season, but it's all going to be about Williams and Wint tonight.
And their 2 leading tacklers, 175 stops between the 2 of them. And they were right there in terms of their leaders a week ago, almost pulling the upset of Middle Tennessee. Rom, and the first we'll see of the guy they call Ace, Anthony Wales, off the right side for about a yard.
And one of the guys that made that tackle, Matt, coming in and filling that C gap strong, that's that off tackle gap on the right-hand side. Beautiful tackle. Britton fit in the hole immediately, not allowing any room for error.
This is a really, really good offensive line that they hope will get a good push today. Play fake to Wales, and Fant, the intended receiver, quickly incomplete. And this talented line across the board, what many consider to be the best one in Conference USA. It goes Lamp, Ray, Halpin, Edwards, and Darrell Williams, the guy they call the Diesel on that right side. And look at the starts, career. Quite a bit of experience there. That's a nice luxury if you're a transfer quarterback coming in.
That also allows that offensive line coach to put his feet up half the time when he's sitting in that meeting room, Matt. Takes a lot of pressure off that offense.
Yeah, that's Dale Williams. Short drop for White, and hits his target. And Taywan Taylor for the second time, 8-yard pickup, and they will move the sticks.
Well, I like the fact right now that they're starting off slow, Matt. A couple weeks ago, both victims last week of the early 6 minutes, 21 points, jumping out to a hell of a head start. But again, you're looking at WKU, who also last week started out with 3 beautiful pass plays.
Like 2 of his first 3 ROMs, 17 yards. Both of them have gone to Taylor. And just like that, the Hilltoppers are out at midfield. The offset backfield, play fake to Wales. White down the field and incomplete. Taylor, the intended target.
Speak of the devil, Matt, that's what I was talking about. I love the first couple chip shots right now. FIU's defense making WKU earn everything they got, and then all of a sudden you're going to get him up the sideline. Taylor for that beautiful 9 route that he loves to run and try to outrun that defensive back corner.
And that's what they've talked about with him. The deep routes are always usually pretty impressive. It's the intermediate needs to improve a little bit. Short drop, and they try and set it up inside and quickly deflected.
Nice little play right now by Cheeks, going in there and getting that nice upfield movement and going ahead and knocking that ball down a little bit.
And one more quick look. And hands quickly up, Josh Glanton.
Yeah, that wasn't Cheeks, Matt.
And backup defensive end behind Furman Silva. And 3rd and long for Western Kentucky. 45% on the year for the Hilltoppers. And White hits it over the middle. Nakarius Fant. And quickly another first down for the Hilltoppers.
Another one of their
15-yard pickup.
Another one of their great wide receivers, Matt, that was questionable all week long. He's had a little bit of an ankle injury, and they weren't sure if he was going to be playing. And you could see he's limping a little bit right now after that one play.
Yeah, so Fant, a couple of catches, trying to power through that ankle injury.
Looks like he's still trying to power through it, Matt.
Yeah, certainly is. Inside the 35-yard line, and the quick toss, it's Baker. First we'll see of him, and breaks it out. The backup Baker inside the 10-yard line. Spelled him for a half a week ago.
What I love about this is how quick the center escapes that nose tackle. He's the one right now leading him down the field, looking for somebody to block. That's my man Halpin, running up the field just as far as that running back. Phenomenal blocking by this offensive line so far. They're getting vertical tonight, Matt.
24-yard gain for Quentin Baker. And inside the red zone, where they go. 84% on the year in terms of scores. Touchdowns, they're not quite as good. 60%. But 5 of the last 6 games, and Baker wasting no time, right in. A pair of carries, and the result is the end zone.
Well, it looks like they wanted to reward old Mr. Baker for his earlier run. When you go ahead and you got Big Diesel, the right tackle, leading his way on a pull. You could see him just waiting for somebody to go ahead, and unfortunately, it was Mr. Emmanuel Lubin, one of the corners, having to meet him on the goal line.
No spotter. Nope. 10-play, 76-yard drive. That ends up taking 3 minutes off the clock. And the first we'll see of the place kicker, Skylar Simcox. Division III transfer who replaced probably the best one in school history in Garrett Schwetman. And Simcox bangs it through, 38 of 38 on the year. And this Western Kentucky high-powered offense wasting no time. It's Baker, not Wales. Find it, Baker.
This game is brought to you in part by Volkswagen. This game is brought to you in part by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Right down the field on Be It Sports, that's how the WKU Hilltoppers end up going. Brett Bromberg, Matt Martucci, line is active right away.
Yeah, you can see this is why Halpin's one of the Remington candidates. He's out there leading the charge down the field, allowing Baker to go ahead and get this nice, beautiful run in, only to go ahead and turn around and let his big right tackle, Diesel, lead his way to the promised land. Taken out right there, Emmanuel Lubin. Unfortunately for him, the corner has to meet that 300-pound tackle in the end zone.
Pair of carries for Baker. His third touchdown run of the year. And FIU off the Ranella kickoff. Gardner picking his way through a hole and out to the 27-yard line. 10 plays, 76 yards. And an identical, or an even 3 minutes, results in the 10-yard touchdown run for Jeff Brom's offense. And that's one way to be successful. 7 of the last 8 times the Hilltoppers have gotten out in front on their first possession.
Starting fast, Matt. That's how you win football games.
Alexander, the short drop, and spins it inside. That's Owens. 5-yard pickup on his 42nd catch of the year. 36 of the 41 coming in were in the last 5 games. Really gotten him involved.
Yeah, he's been hot, Matt. We talked about it earlier on in the pregame, how he's been a little bit dormant for the first 4 weeks, now moving into these 5 weeks of just domination.
And averaged almost 95 yards receiving, a pair of touchdown catches each of the last 2 games. It's 2 of the top teams in the league. Second and manageable for Alexander. And with a nice pocket, but incomplete. Intended target again, Owens.
Matt, I'm not going to lie. I was really concerned how these 2 defensive tackles were going to be pushing and driving into the backfield of FIU, because one of the things they needed to do is to keep them at the line of scrimmage. But you saw right there Montero locking his defensive tackle up, Chris Johnson, and getting a nice little pass block situation by moving his feet.
And Michael Montero, another one of those Remington watch guys earlier in the year.
Local Miami kid.
Yeah, guy that they're going to miss. 0 for 1 on 3rd down so far. And they set it up quickly. Thomas in between 2 defenders. His second catch, 7-yard pickup and a 1st down.
I like the way the quarterback reacted to this one, Matt. He had a nice little gut edge blitz up the middle where you're going to bring your weak side linebacker and cross him with your middle linebacker right up the middle, and he knows he's got to get rid of that football quickly.
And I don't know if you saw in this replay, they caught Leston watching. Ended up rotating over late. Now 2nd first down of the game, compared to 4 for Western Kentucky for the Panthers. Alexander way outside. Darius Scott, the intended receiver.
This is one thing that I'm going to be wondering all night long. Is Nick Dawson going to be up in Alexander's face? Because it seems like he's been jumping and almost batting all of these balls down. That left tackle needs to go ahead and jump set him and get his legs down.
Keith Brown was there waiting if that pass had been a little bit more online. 2nd down and long for an offense that's really changed under Ron Cooper. And the delay to their 2nd back, Anthony Jones.
It seems like they're going right at him, Matt. They're going to be going off the center. Montero, either his right cheek or his left cheek. He's handling his nose guard relatively well. They're saying a stalemate usually at the line of scrimmage is a win for the offensive lineman, and that's what we're seeing so far.
And so far they've been able to hold their own here and there. They'll face another 3rd down situation for the 3rd time tonight. Jones, the cousin of Florida State running back Dalvin Cook, in the backfield.
They talk weekly, Matt.
Yeah, very much in touch. Nice pickup for Jones. Alexander going to have to do it off the rollout. Stays with it and completes that pass. Owens over midfield, his 2nd catch and another 1st down.
Matt, we're seeing a different Alexander than we saw in that first week. He's moving, he's rolling out, he's staying active, he's staying alive, and he's getting rid of the football to a guy that loves to get open and come back to the football, and that's his #1 guy, T.O.
Owens getting open under DeAndre Simmons, who ended up over there in coverage. Alexander started 5 of 7, 38 yards.
Confidence. I like his confidence tonight so far against this big defense.
And gonna need it here at Fikes Field. They don't lose very often, especially in November. And this time the motion, Jones sheds one, can't shed the second, and a big-time wall of tacklers. Evan Sainer, the backup interior lineman, redshirt sophomore from Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah, you see the nice little counter action, pulling that tackle backside, and Jones seems to run right through that first tackler. You're going to see a lot of yards after contact tonight after Jones. He's a stockier, low to the ground style running back.
Wow, there's a look at a team that's known for offense, but their D has certainly shown up in a big way. Conference USA known for its points, so 26 points given up. That leads the league. They can stop the run. Second and 12. Alexander just needed a seam but couldn't find it, and quickly dropped. Keith Brown in there, as is Dawson Brents, the Louisville transfer.
Yeah, that pocket's collapsing way too quick on that left side. You got Joseph and Bashir. They need to hold on real quickly, and unfortunately, they're putting Alex Gardner out there on that blitzing linebacker. He collapsed back into the quarterback's lap as well. You're not going to be able to make a decision in a half of a second.
Yeah, I think that's what we've noticed. Jones is a little bit better at that blitz pickup, that rush pickup. Third down at 15. And trying to set it up, won't even get there. Dawson Brents bats it away.
Matt, I'm telling you, I saw it earlier on tonight. They need to go ahead and jump set him in order to get his hands down. What I mean by jump setting, you can see in the top of your screen, you're not supposed to jump out at that defensive end as he's coming at you. If you're going to have a little bit of a play action pass, you got to get out and get on him immediately. That way he doesn't have the ability to go ahead and bat that ball down. And you got to start from the inside out. You cannot jump outside of him like you just saw him do right there.
Say hello to Stone Wilson for the second time. Hunt for his 35, spotted at midfield.
Stone Wilson, a guy that Forrest Lamp knows very, very well back in high school days.
Yeah, both of them Florida natives, of course. 26-yard punt. And Hilltopper football on the other side here in beautiful Bowling Green. 7-0 lead. Ron Cooper and the FIU Panthers back on defense, already trailing 7-0. Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, Jordan Daigle down on the sideline. It's Conference USA football here on Be It Sports. And once again, WKU front line, that front seven we talked about, ends up being a rough sell for this FIU offense.
That was one of the keys to the game. These guys need to rush the football, and WKU only allowing 100 yards a game is going to be a daunting task for them.
White back to work, the play fake, it down the seam, and the guy they call Chibo, Nick Norris, second all-time leading receiver in school history.
Yeah, he ended up connecting with Nick Norris. You know he has his favorites, Matt. Every quarterback does. He's got Norris and Taylor, but he also had Donatel going straight up the seam. That could have been 6.
Isaiah Brown, the one who finally brought him down after a 21-yard pickup. First catch for Norris. Now get White on the move on 1st and 10. Sideline pattern. And it's Taylor for the 3rd time tonight.
That's one of the things that he's good at, Matt. He's able to get out of the pocket a little bit more. In camp, that was one of the concerns. He was more of a check-down quarterback, according to some of these coaches. And one of the things that he is a little bit better than Dottie, the former quarterback at WKU, is actually moving around and creating some extra leg room and play.
And Brandon Dowdy, of course, the two of them work out in the offseason with the same quarterback coach down there at Florida. 8-yard pickup for Taylor. Now up to 69 catches on the year. Wales, quick hitter. And inside the 40-yard line. 7-yard gain for Ace.
Nice job by Nico Gonzalez getting up there and inserting himself into that play. He was in open space, and that's one of the hardest things in football is to make that open field tackle.
Yeah, Gonzalez, the guy that they talk about who approaches this game most like an NFL player. Can't get enough of the film room. And they go on that jet sweep, now a reverse. White to Norris, and this one breaks down. Makes one man miss, and still going. Nick Norris, are you kidding me? Inside the 10. A long way to get to the red zone. First and goal. It goes for 43 yards.
How special is this? Handoff, the flea flicker, back to Norris. Norris goes ahead, almost falls on the play. Breaks a few ankles on the way, and then, oh my goodness, look at me. Let me go ahead and just retrace this and show the other sideline something special as well. Escaping another tackle right there, trying to go up top. And finally, just ended up getting a little bit too tired and going out of bounds, Matt.
First down at goal. And the delay right up to the 2-yard line after they faked it inside. It's Wales for 6.
I know that show was all Norris, but you got to give a little bit of credit to his blocking staff as well. He had a couple offensive linemen downfield helping him out. His wide receivers were doing their job. This offense is clicking so far tonight, Matt.
Leave it to the former center to say, hey, you know what? You got to give the guys up front some credit.
You got to give the big uglies a little bit of hype as well.
Second down and goal. Wales piles in. Touchdown for the 14th time on the ground.
Looks like some of the legs on those defensive linemen might be getting a little tired, especially after that run him and hit him and run him and hit him, toss back flea flicker option they had going on a couple plays ago. But this is just dominating offensive line work, driving every guy in front of them about 3 yards into that end zone. Seems like a pretty easy remedy to go ahead and cross that white line.
By the way, the defensive coordinator's son, Nick Holt, Ben Holt, the younger of his two, son Nick played for him a year ago. Ben ends up being the one to be the lead blocker there. Simcox on, and a perfect 2 for 2 to start the night. Almost through the first quarter, and why not a little trickeration coming off of Halloween? Norris taking it all the way down, and WKU up a pair of touchdowns here on beIN Sports. 6 plays, 76 yards, and 30 seconds shorter than the last time they went down the field. This time it goes for 2.5. Anthony Wales, a 1-yard touchdown run here on beIN Sports. His 30th career touchdown on the ground. And that gets him 6th in school history for ace. And Ranella to kick off again. And this time goes over the head. And Jones elects for the 25-yard line.
Matt, the fact that there's a lot of time left on this clock could be a blessing or a curse. Right now, the FIU Panthers need to really stick with the running game on this, because you need to keep that offense of WKU on the sideline. Clearly, they have no issue scoring points right now. You're going to have to continue to run the football, continue to press, don't make any mistakes, and possibly try to get something big in the special teams game right now with a punt return or a possible kickoff return.
Well, the positive is they've been able to move the football. A week ago, they were down 14-0, 4 minutes into that one against Middle Tennessee. At least today, been able to get some first downs, but no moral victories here. Alexander for the 3rd possession. And they find a seam in the secondary, and guess who? It's T.O. Thomas Owens up across the 40-yard line. 15-yard pickup.
You see them got nice little slant coverage right here. T.O. stop and go route, finds a nice little hole, able to make the catch and sit down. I'm surprised they're going single coverage on T.O. and giving him that much cushion, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. For a guy that's done what he's done the last 2 weeks, already his 3rd catch, T.J. McCollum made the tackle. 3 catches, 34 yards. Alexander, good fake, and Darius Scott for the 2nd time. Down to the 37-yard line.
1 and 2 punch is going to be T.O. tonight, and Scott, obviously. They need to keep going, Matt. They need to score back, make this score make a little bit more even than what it is right now. Possibly go ahead and get a little bit of pointage on the board. Whether it's a field goal or 6 points, they need it, Matt.
Scott, the local Miami product. Said, where'd you find him? Well, he was there all along. We just weren't putting him on the field. 73 yards, 70% completion percentage for Alexander. And this time, try and go to the ground. It's swallowed up. Is Gardner. Johnson in there along with a host of others. Omarius Bryant. That 1-2 JUCO punch that they have in the interior.
These two defensive tackles are getting a little bit of the best of these two guards, Matt. I see Montero in there holding his own, but these tackles are getting pushed back. The guards are getting pushed back. They're not giving much room for these running backs to run.
Bryant, a big fella, 6'3", 310. Not quite the belly of your guy Vince Wilfork, but
not many do. Not many do.
2nd and 11, and Alexander with a man open. It's Maloney and incomplete. He just needs to settle down. That's the second time that he's had somebody out in space there.
But again, he's going with an offensive line that's not giving him much time. I don't know if you noticed right there, his left tackle once again got driven into the backfield 4 or 5 yards. You got to establish the line of scrimmage, Matt. You got to give your quarterback some time and some room to throw the football.
50% on 3rd downs tonight for Alexander in this offense.
You're also dealing with the fact that he's only 6 feet tall. He's not able to see too well over his big tackles.
Yeah, so those rollouts have to be effective. Alexander with the drop, under pressure, going to have to move it, and will get up with his feet. And you would think, based on Ron Cooper's track record here, that you're probably going. Tanner Reeves ran him out.
One of those things that this coaching staff has done has been taking a lot more risks. It seems like the kids have been playing a lot more freer. They're taking more chances. It seems like they're playing a lot looser, which was one of the things that they were trying to achieve underneath their previous head coach, but just weren't able to attain.
Offensive coordinator Steve Shankweiler up in the booth. You just saw Court Shankweiler, Steve's son, giving him the play. .101 in FBS on 4th down conversions. Alexander gonna do it himself to the middle of the field. The freshman. Welcome to Bowling Green, down to the 2-yard line.
Matt, what made this play right here is the left guard coming down where you just saw right there, Saunders. Saunders went ahead and decleated that nose tackle that's over Montero. That's one of the advantages you could do when you're only facing 3 down linemen. You have guards that are uncovered and are free to roam, and that's where you get those ear hole shots and decleating shots on those defensive tackles that think they're going to be able to drive your center back into the backfield, and it creates beautiful, beautiful running lanes for your quarterback.
1st down and goal for this offense. Alexander keeps it himself and in. FIU down the field. And on the scoreboard, the freshman quarterback, Maurice Alexander.
I like the way the offensive line came off the football here right now. You got to have low pad level when you're down in that red zone trying to drive that football into the end zone.
Austin Taylor on for the extra point. Being a top 4 kicker in the conference this year. And puts the exclamation point on a nice end to this 1st quarter just about for FIU. Boy, what a difference a few weeks makes. Maurice Alexander's grown up. Panthers are down 7 on beIN Sports.
This game is brought to you in part by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
A well-deserved rest for Maurice Alexander over on that sideline. The freshman leading the FIU Panthers 7 plays, 75 yards. And just over 3 minutes. His 1st career touchdown at Taylor. Maybe thinking about an onside kick.
That surprise was just blown.
Yep. So that's not happening for Ron Cooper and company.
I like the thought.
Yep. Western Kentucky spends a timeout. Well, and that's one of the things, Ron Cooper sometimes maybe a little bit unconventional. Shaking things up in practice. change up the energy. And for more on that, we go down to the third member of our team, Jordan, on the sideline.
Well, we just saw that successful fourth down conversion, and fourth downs were something linebacker Anthony Wynton and I talked about this week. Anthony telling me those fourth down decisions are one of the biggest displays of trust from Coach Cooper. Anthony saying it shows that he has a lot of confidence in both our offense and our defense. That was something we were lacking at the beginning of the season, he said, and it continues to build every week. Confidence is a dangerous thing, and with it, he said, we feel we can be unstoppable.
Coach Cooper, a little bit of chutzpah in terms of those decisions. And Taylor, this time unable to execute properly. And Dawson Brents ends up being the one to catch it. And Ron Cooper says, come on.
The reason why they did that, Matt, is because they saw that they weren't at the 10-yard marker, which on the onside kick, that's all it needs to go in order for you to recover it. Normally, the team, after having that nice little onside attempt, would move up 10 yards to go ahead and be on that 10-yard line. But WKU stayed back, and obviously they didn't intend for that to happen, and the pooch just basically went right into their up back's arms.
And as a result, you don't want to give Mike White and company any better field position than they're already going to have. But the way this offense puts up points. White on first down, plenty of time, and hits his target, Lucky Jackson, who had a big week last week in his first career start. And that's the end of the first quarter. WKU in FIU territory when we come back. But the Panthers hanging in within a touchdown here at the home of Big Red on beIN Sports. WKU by a touchdown. Interesting turn of events that leads us to the Hilltoppers getting the ball over midfield. Let's take a look.
You see here they have a first attempt of an onside kick. What goes on right now is during the week they notice that that front line of Western Kentucky's team is not at the 10-yard marker where you need to go in order to receive and be able to touch that ball. Now you're going to be going ahead and going to the second one because they called a timeout. Yet they still lined up 3 or 4 yards back when ultimately a team should move up to that 10-yard marker. So the kicker was told when he went to the sideline, my guess is go ahead and try to put it over that first line's head, but they didn't make the adjustment, so hence you get the ball right in the up back's hands, 13, 14 yards off the line of scrimmage.
And after a first down catch from Lucky Jackson, another 1st and 10. White hit as he throws down the field, touchdown, Taywan Taylor. For the 10th time this year, 41 yards.
Matt, I'm not too sure if I'm going to go ahead and agree with this call. Trayvon Williams had a little bit of contact with Mr. White. I think they're going to be going for a helmet-to-helmet shot here, but I'm not sure if he had it. No, it wasn't, and I don't think it was a late hit either. He went with the shoulder into his solar plex. Even though it was 6 points, Mr. White hasn't gotten up off the turf just yet. It might have got the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah, still down there.
You could see him rolling out here, Matt, but you also see Trayvon Williams come in and give him the shoulder into the chest.
Here's my thing when it comes to this. How are you going to stop your momentum when you're coming that fast?
I thought he clearly distributed right there and showed that he wasn't out to kill the quarterback. He just wanted to let him know he was there in the building by just giving him that shoulder shot. I don't believe that deserves a yellow flag, to tell you the truth. I hope they pick that up. By him pulling back and not involving his helmet, not lowering his head, not taking 2 or 3 steps through the quarterback, trying to make the tackle, by just going ahead and running by and giving him a shoulder. I'm pretty adamant about this one, Matt. I don't think they deserve to go ahead and get that yellow flag. I hope they pick that up.
And Simcox on for what'll be the 3rd time. It's a pair of rushing touchdowns, and then Taylor going 41 yards. Maurice Alexander, the scorer on the ground for FIU.
Definitely regretting the onside kick decision, Matt.
And Big Red says, lift me up. Celebrating a birthday in a few weeks. He was born in December of 1979. So at this point, he's kind of in the middle of a midlife crisis.
I can see why.
It's tough to do push-ups at 37. You would know.
Yeah, I'm not into it, Matt. Elbows and shoulders, 9 years in the league. They deteriorated pretty quick.
He's Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, Jordan Daigle down on the sideline. 2 plays, 55 yards. And it didn't take long after they get that onside kick at the 45-yard line. Taywan Taylor up to an even 70 catches on the year. And only 33 yards from an 100-yard night. Let's see what this guy's done. Now, first look, they start him out to the sideline, trying to get somebody out front. And a couple more. One out to midfield. White hanging tough, and there's the touchdown.
It seems like they've kept him under wraps for the first part of this football game until right there. He has a very good tendency of getting behind the defenders. It's one of those things that they're trying to keep teams honest. Whenever you put a corner on him, he tends to kind of be a little bit sleepy with his speed, and he goes ahead and blows right by. Even when they were playing Alabama, man, they still were able to get behind a lot of those defensive backs and corners that were trying Taywan.
And now Ranella, courtesy of the flag that was not picked up, will move the ball up to the 50-yard line. And I guess this is an assumed get the ball out at the 25.
In this instance with this kicker, half the time it goes in the end zone anyway, Matt, so I don't think this is that much of a big deal, to tell you the truth. Let it go in the end zone.
Yep, so that's where they'll get it. 25-yard line for Jones, Alexander, and co. Well, Maurice Alexander, a guy who's from a very highly touted program, Booker T. Washington, one that you know all about. Receiver Darius Scott is also from there for FIU, but constantly churning out Division I talent under head coach Ice Harris.
Yeah, speaking of Division I talent, he's got 3 family members, cousins, that are all playing D1 ball.
Yep, at one point or another. He's been off to a good start, 75 yards through the air, 35 on the ground. See what kind of response they have to this. Alexander, Jones picking his way through. And nice first down pickup of 6.
They handled that blitz pretty well right there, Matt. They ended up blitzing the will through that B gap right there over that right tackle. Going ahead and try to stop at the line of scrimmage in the center. Made a nice little adjustment as well to get that backside linebacker as he climbed up about 4 or 5 yards off that line.
Came back from 21-0 down last week. Ended up losing by a touchdown on an Alex Magoo interception that was returned for a score. Back to the ground, Jones, and this time no push and plenty of surge. And all over that play, Joel Ibuniwe. Ibuniwe, they call him Iggy, the redshirt sophomore from here in Bowling Green.
Matt, I'll tell you right now, Dawson Brents has given Joseph all he can handle at that left tackle spot. He's been getting driven into the backfield just about every time his number has been called tonight off that left-hand side. Coach is going to have to sit him down on the end of the bench and ask him to get his pad level down a little bit and get off the ball and be a little bit more aggressive.
1 yard loss, 3rd down at 5. Alexander going low. Owens, was he hampered? Guess not. Leverick Johnson, the nickel, ends up being the one in coverage.
Great job right there by Bashir, taking 2 guys into that A gap right next to the center. Montero had to get over really quickly and pick up the blitz on the other side. Great job by Bashir getting 2 hands up, taking up 2 men.
Stone Wilson for the 3rd time. And Fan is again back, standing at his own 35. The rugby-style kick to the 33-yard line, 37-yard punt for Wilson. And the Hilltoppers getting the ball back. All the great touchdown catches, they're made not in, but by Taywan. Early 2nd quarter here in Bowling Green. Conference USA football on Be It Sports. And Western Kentucky has had quite a bit of success with this wide receiver duo. A lot of good ones in Conference USA. Taywan Taylor, and they call him Chibo Norris. They're one of the best as well.
They seem to feed off each other, Matt. They like to talk a little bit of smack now. They're starting to feel themselves so far this year. Beautiful duo. One's really a strider. The other one's a short get-back guy. You could see the way he did in that play where it was a bunch of little flea flickers and covering both sides of the football field. He's a shifty player. Can start and stop on a dime, and great tandem, great duo.
Nice compliment in the backfield is Wales, who picks up 5 on first down. There's Taywan Taylor from a couple hours away in Louisville. Grew up watching Devontae Parker. Spent some time in the league. Second and 5. And White overshooting his target, Jackson, down that sideline. Lucky Jackson, in a blowout loss to Alabama, he was the only guy to catch a touchdown. He had a big week a week ago in his first career start. 3 catches, 83 yards, and a score. And this a big third down for this FIU defense.
This would be a great stop. They need to get off the football field right away.
Western Kentucky 2 for 2 on the night. Not much of a rush, and wide open, but incomplete. Wales coming down. That looked like a wheel route.
Yeah, lucky for him. He doesn't want to catch the football tonight. FIU gets a nice little break right now to get back on the football field with that offense, because how quickly WKU scored with that short field kind of made that extra 7 points that FIU got a little null and void. So we got to go ahead and get back on the board right now with a quick turnaround. Get FIU some more points, Matt. Make this thing nice.
And Jake Collins, you don't hear from very much, but he's on the Ray Guy list. Only 7 of his punts have been returned all year. And this one, the line drive. And Owens lets it roll down to the 10-yard line. Alchin-Smith Stadium, where they're all about being sports. 2-touchdown lead for WKU. Final month of the college football regular season, and the drive toward this event, December 3rd, the 2016 Conference USA title game. If it was played today, Western Kentucky and La Tech would be on a collision course. Plenty of parity in this league. First 11 title games, 8 different champions. And Jeff Brom and co. hoping to make it a repeat. Maurice Alexander and company trying to snap out of a 2-game losing streak. QB draw on first down. Alexander showing no fear. Right out near that first down marker. Host of tacklers end up wrapping him up after what's a near 10-yard pickup.
Yeah, they're just trying to cover up that center, but what that does is just allows his guard to go ahead and push off of that center's block and get up to that next level on that linebacker, and it creates a nice little 6-7 yard run, Matt.
Call it now 9, Roms. 6 carries, 44 yards. That long of 34 for Alexander. Also throwing for the 75. Good start for him. Watch Owens, top of your screen. Play fake. And that's what they're trying to set up. Owens, jump ball, tipped up and intercepted. Coming down with it, the nickel, Johnson. 8 blockers out in front. An escort down the sideline. It's still going. Wants the end zone. It will get there. Touchdown Toppers.
You're about to see probably the second most remarkable play that we've seen tonight. Beautiful, beautiful play right there. Tipping the ball to himself, running up and down the sideline, and I will not be denied this end zone. Whether it's an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, or a tight end, it does not matter. I'm crossing the white line. That's a remarkable run, Matt.
61-yard interception return for touchdown. And they got the isolation they wanted. Just good D. Simcox tacks it on. And not long into this second quarter. Second interception of the year for Johnson, though I feel like the Miami native will remember this one just a little bit more than the first.
That's one thing about playing these two teams. A lot of high school relationships going on, whether it's Norland, the West, Central, Christopher Columbus. It seems like all these kids keep playing against each other. And you could just see this beautiful, beautiful 61-yard return with blowing past all of the offenders and running through some others.
And Michael Montero did his best to try and break that up at the end.
That's a nightmare for an offensive lineman, to tell you the truth. You always kind of find a way to jog an angle. You take one of those angles on film where, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and take a really good angle. That's your excuse when you get in the film room and you get caught on the big screen of not wanting to get involved with that tackle.
Guys who you might not think would be good at geometry all of a sudden become really good at it.
It's all about angles at that point, Coach.
Ranella to the end zone with this one. And A1, Alex Gardner.
Unfortunately, those angles ended up going towards Western Kentucky's bench. If that was the other way around and we were coming towards the FIU bench, my angle would have been real flat. You can see LeVerick going ahead and staying hip to hip and just making and waiting that play, jumping up for Owens. I'm not even sure if he held Owens a little bit to keep him down onto that turf. But reversing his position, he's got his other safety running down the field, leading in front of him as well. All of that defense. You see all these red jerseys running down the football field with him, man. Nobody was taking a play off there. The defenders became offenders, and it looked like a running back running up that sideline.
And Alexander and company start again. Gardner off the right side, good hole. And ends up picking up 8.
Nice little block from your tight end that's in the game tonight in place of Jonnu Smith.
Call it 9. And they've done a good job of those first down carries. Jones picked up 6 the last time. And Gardner puts them in good position this time around. 13 carries, 61 yards as a team. Average almost 5 on the ground. Play fake. Set up Scott. Good block and a push across the 41-yard line. Make it the 42. On the 3rd catch of the night for the freshman, Darius Scott.
I don't know if you saw Keith Brown there. He started out, moved to the left side because that's where the fake ended up going. Then he crosses the full football field and comes and lays a booming hit. Climbs right on top of that. Nice little assisted tackle right there. Great linebacker.
What they call a pile jumper, right?
You got to like those guys. Add a little bit extra at the end of a play.
Yep. Alexander from the pistol. And off the turn back. Incomplete. Intended for Stanley Thomas.
Man, we got to always consider the fact that he is only a freshman out of Florida City, 6 feet, 180 pounds. A total different quarterback than we saw first when we watched FIU play for the first game. He came in, his eyes were a little bit big. The game might have been a little bit too much for him. They had a couple packages designed for him, probably giving him that start and knowing all well and dandy that it was really Magoo's team. Now he's got his opportunity, Matt. They might think they got a nice little quarterback on their hands for next year.
Threw for almost 3,100 yards, 32 touchdowns in a 15-0 season. His last year of high school culminated in a state title.
False start. Offense number 73. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
The right guard, Trenton Saunders.
Palm Beach native.
And up out of that stance.
He got caught on that nice little stint from the defensive front.
Saunders, a guy that's made plenty of starts. Over on that right side, Ian Daquan Wilkie.
Yeah, I know we talk about a lot of the starts that Western Kentucky's offensive line has, but coming in tonight, they got 94 career starts between this offensive lineman at FIU.
Alexander on the roll and hits Thomas for the 3rd time out at midfield.
Another one of the young wide receivers from FIU. had a really great start to the season. They kind of laid a little bit dormant. It's funny how they kind of picked up for T.O. T.O. now coming on strong, and the younger wide receivers, Gator and Scott and Thomas, ended up picking up the slack at the beginning of the season. Now only to kind of turn it back over with Scott and T.O.
Only 33% on third downs tonight. A little bit below their average this year. This is a big one. And they won't pick it up. Gardner ends up stopped short. Right at the line of scrimmage. Iyebuniwe. I think they call him Iggy because the coaching staff doesn't like to say Iyebuniwe.
Yeah, I don't think so either. According to Coach Holt, he didn't want to say anything like that. Iggy. We'll go with Iggy.
1 for 1 on fourth downs tonight. They converted the 9th time on the season out of 20 tries, so they're at 45%.
They got to lower their pad level here, Matt, whether they're going to show pass or not.
Gardner, no sir.
In
Stuffed
comes
right
Mr.
there.
Brown.
Yep. T.J. McCollum.
He's eating. That's what that symbol is right there. When he's spooning that, he's eating. Yeah, T.J. McCollum saw that and sniffed that one out real quick. Said, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this offensive lineman with his head down, trying to drive back my defensive tackle. That's going to allow me to run free and go ahead and just blitz right through that gap on the outside and make that nice little tackle for loss.
Jeff Brom and company enjoying a 3-touchdown lead. Already 6 TFLs, a sack, the LeVerick Johnson interception return for touchdown. And the ball again. This time, they fake the reverse. And Jackson takes it off the jet sweep. First time he touches the ball, 6-yard pickup.
Nice little fake reverse here in the center, uncovered. Said, I'm going to go ahead and drive this thing down the line and try to come in and peel back and make a block here.
He gave you the roll for effect at the end there.
A little extra effort.
Baker's in the backfield again. Wales gets a rest. Touched it 5 times tonight. And Baker finds a hole and a first down, but just dropped the football. And they give it right back. Miller just ends up being the one to recover it.
Great job by Joseph falling on this football. Wint puts his helmet in there real nice, right on the football, right on the tip of that football. And fortunately for FIU, they got a nice little turnover right now. Starting on their own 30.
Well, now I say to you, 3-touchdown deficit. What are the positive things that they have to keep doing here, that they've done so far? What do they need to continue to do?
Right now, they need to have about an 8-play drive, converting third downs, and taking about 5 minutes off of this clock right now. Because it seems like the magic number for WKU is 3-minute drives.
Swing pass here on first down to get things started to Jones. 6-yard gain. And the first catch of the night for Jones. Nice little tandem. They've made more of a commitment, according to offensive coordinator Steve Shankweiler, to running the football. That spearheaded what's been a 3-2 start in Conference USA. They ended up going 0-4 to open the year. Trying to get the edge on 2nd and 4 and nobody home. And it's Bryant, Omarius Bryant.
I wonder what nickname they're giving Big O, Matt.
Icebox, maybe? Because if you take Omarius and make it Omarian.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like Big O. I think I'm going to refer to him as Big O the rest of the night.
Coaching staff calls him Omar. They dropped the last 3 letters. Omar Bryant. Alexander on 3rd and 4. Stepping up. First down.
Mr. Bryant right now is standing right next to the referee with his palms up, asking him why isn't he getting a flag right there for holding. You see Omar Bryant right now, little hands to the face action, but just blowing up Mr. Saunders, the right guard.
This offense is hung right in there, moving in the neighborhood of almost 200 total yards. But you can't not come away with points. Western Kentucky ball to start the 3rd quarter. And we get a penalty flag from the back judge.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the formation on the defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So illegal substitution, the call. That's one of the things that ends up getting lost in the shuffle of things. With as good as this Western Kentucky team is, penalty-wise, a little bit undisciplined. And one of the worst in Conference USA in terms of penalties, penalty yards a game.
Well, when you lose your starting strong safety, Ward, the leader of your team, the general in that defensive backfield, the babysitter's gone. So when the cat's away, the mice will play a little bit, and that discipline, although their defensive coordinator has that Marine structure to him.
First down and 5. QB draw again. Alexander trying to get his way to the sideline and inside the 40-yard line. Liking the feet from Maurice Alexander. Second big gain of the night for him.
Defensive coordinator's nightmare. Having that RPO quarterback that's able to go ahead and run the football along with throw it. Magoo never really had that much of a threat. I know he's had a couple of those big runs this year, but definitely not as fleet of foot as Alexander is.
Now up to 8 carries, 65 yards, and the score. That one goes for 15. See him making the calls with the center Montero. Maybe supreme movement, middle of the field, gets his target. Scott, 4th catch of the night, and quickly another first down.
He found that nice little honey hole, Matt. Lester is seriously hanging back in that backfield. A lot of cushion going on across the middle.
21-yard pickup for Darius Scott on his 4th catch of the night. In the last couple weeks, Darius Scott has come in here and stolen the show. Alexander already over 100 yards. Gardner off that left side and inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal coming for the Panthers. 12-yard gain for the guy they call A1.
Looks like they're going to let A1 eat here, Matt. Nice little off-tackle play, offensive line. Great block by your tight end as well. Didn't get much movement, but Braniso obviously got his defensive guy tied up. They're going to have to go ahead and put their pad level low down here on the 4-yard line. Let's see if they're going to go ahead and give Gardner these nice 6 points running the football.
Top 30 offense in FBS in terms of the red zone. It's their bread and butter. 61% on touchdowns, 90% on scores. Alexander looking for a seam and gets clobbered. TJ McCollum, first one to him.
Yeah, 180 pounds is not going to endure too many of those. I'm not sure if this was... Oh, this wasn't blocked too well. They had up Shear right there trying to block with the defensive tackle and pulling the backside guard Saunders, and ended up getting tripped up and fell on the ground.
Offense has definitely been revamped, though. 23 points a game. And Alexander tossed to the end zone. Owens trying to come up with it, and it ends up picked off. Derek Overstreet, the defensive end. Dropping back in coverage.
Matt, I understand this play call, but dropping a defensive end in coverage and trying to throw that ball short into the goal line, the corner end zone, that ball needs to be further out, more towards the pylon in the back corner of the end zone. It's either got to be one of those catch or out of bounds situations.
And that's where you miss a guy like Magoo, because you know that's probably something that they've practiced 100 times in practice.
Just by watching Alexander's motion on that throw, he threw off his back foot, floated it up into the air, didn't step through his throw.
Well, inside 4 minutes to go here in the first half. And tough possession for Alexander here on Be It Sports. A picturesque shot of the campus here at Bowling Green. Western Kentucky now up 21. And potentially thinking about adding some more to it after Derek Overstreet and interception in the end zone on Maurice Alexander. Good half for the most part for the freshman quarterback, minus the 2 turnovers. Wales here on first down, swallowed up. Cheeks and a host of others after he picks up maybe a couple. Second down and 8.
Man, I'm down here staring at the offensive linemen from FIU on their bench. The body language isn't looking too good. They ended up waddling off the field and slowly moving towards the bench. Their quarterback's got to get over there and pat him on the shoulder and say, let's go. A lot of football to be played.
And that offensive meeting continues. White on the 3-step drop and nearly intercepted. Deontay Wilson, Daytona Beach, Florida native, who actually grew up going to the Daytona 500 with his grandmother. Ends up being the one in coverage.
Yeah, you saw Deontay jump that thing right there. Had an opportunity, but great coverage nonetheless.
And Deontay said his grandma was one of those cool grandmothers. Wanted to make sure that he attended a lot of different things and got into NASCAR, into auto racing. Has attended it multiple times from several different positions. Third down and 8, sideline ball, and ends up being a good one to Norris. 11-yard pickup on his second catch.
Great protection here by the offensive line, giving White a nice little pocket. They need to create a little bit more surge from the defensive front right now if FIU wants to go ahead and rattle this quarterback's cage.
Inside of 3 minutes to go. At this point, you're just hoping maybe 3-score deficit if you're looking at it from a Panthers perspective. Wales off that left side. Halpin trying to steer him toward a few more yards. And ends up run out. It's Just who recovered that fumble by Baker earlier. And second down and long.
If you're a defender right now on FIU, Matt, you're trying to get yourself going. You're like, I need to be the one to make the play right now. Everybody's looking at somebody else to make the play. They got to step up and make the play.
Here's one of the guys who's been doing it, Williams. Second down and 8, White. And they find Jackson. 3 defenders over there. Williams is one of them. Isaiah Brown, the one to drop him, along with Nico Gonzalez. 11-yard gain and a first down.
That was a nice route by Jackson. He put his foot in the ground. You saw Isaiah Brown go about 4 more yards back. The way to stop on a dime right there by your third wide receiver, Mr. Jackson.
White from the snap of Halpin. Plenty of time and lets it develop. Jackson again beating Isaiah Brown to the sideline. 12 yards this time.
Right now, I know Babbage, defensive coordinator for FIU, is just trying to keep everything in front of him. That's why you're seeing Brown given a little bit of cushion. Jackson taking full advantage of that one.
Redshirt freshman from Lexington, Kentucky. Guy that they would like to be more consistent. He's shown it definitely these last 2 weeks. White ends up backed up, but there's a reason they set up Wales. Blockers out in front. Edwards steering him toward a big gain. And inside the red zone go the Hilltoppers. 23-yard pickup.
Well, there's a reason why the left guard came down and picked up that defensive tackle that was trying to rush the quarterback, is because it was a screen.
And White taking a shot again.
Yeah, it's Williams once again. Going ahead and let him know he's there.
Just a little push. Play fake to Wales. White over the middle. Jackson. And incomplete.
Clearly White has been picking on Mr. Brown so far this drive. Brown had nice positioning on him though. Got inside leverage on him and was able to go ahead and try to deroute and reroute Jackson.
Well, Simcox has a couple of 50-plus yard field goals, so you obviously know you could come away with those points, but the way this offense is going, you're the Toppers, you're thinking you want the 4-touchdown cushion before the break.
Especially the way that FIU came back from the 21 deficit last week.
Wales on the toss, picking his way through. Hines puts a shoulder into him to stop him. And shaken up. 8-yard gain. Xavier Hines, the junior free safety from Miami, Florida. One of the guys that's been active in that defense, he and Gonzalez, pair of starting safeties. They were missing Gonzalez for a span of about 2 or 3 weeks. He finally came back a week ago.
He wanted to come back even earlier, man.
Yep.
He was chomping at the bit, knocking on the coach's door, complaining that the doctor won't clear him yet. Didn't realize that he actually needs to heal up to play some football.
Defensive coordinator Bobby Babich can certainly attest to that. Former North Dakota State guy. Talented defensive back in his day.
Funny situation is how those two safeties, Nico Gonzalez from Hialeah and Xavier Hines from Belen, end up playing side by side together.
Just had a look at the hill where some of the Western Kentucky students enjoying themselves. And a look up toward the booth.
Shank.
Yep, Steve Shankweiler up there. And there's Bobby Babich next to his left shoulder. Took over as the defensive coordinator after Ron Cooper moved to the interim head coach. And after the UCF game. White and company knocking on the door. Wales 3rd and 2, 1st and goal. Takes plenty of tacklers to bring him down after what's 5. Wint is in there, several others.
I don't think there's been a run play yet tonight, Matt, that you haven't seen a pulling lineman for Western Kentucky. That offensive line can move.
And they've done it a lot. It's a nice luxury with Wales. 1st and goal, bouncing outside. Can he get the corner? Yes, he can. 6 for Anthony Wales, 2nd time tonight.
Like I said, pulling Big Diesel from the backside. Pulling that big backside tackle. 6'6", 310 pounds out of Dublin, GA. Trying to clear that way for him.
And Simcox and company waiting for this extra point.
Man, you can see why last week against FAU, 661 yards of offense.
Yeah, certainly no strangers to putting up big-time points. And they're reviewing to make sure Wales ends up getting in.
What a special talent Wales was. Last year, never really saw any game time until the 3rd one, and basically 9 games last year earned him about 1,100 yards.
And 9 rushing touchdowns. Also ended up having a couple more. Catching the ball. And that's what they're looking at. So is the knee down before the ball breaks the plane.
Honestly, if I'm this offensive lineman center, if I'm Mr. Halpin, I'd go grab my left guard, grab my right guard. So come on, boys, let's go ahead and do this goal line stance really quick. It don't matter if you want to give us 6 points right now. Let us line back up on that goal line. See who wants it more right now.
Yeah, how many goal line stands did you lose? Not very many, I'm sure.
If you're going to ask me, I'm going to tell you none.
Surprising. Very surprising.
I've been known to love me some me. I think they're going to go off of that right hand going down onto the ground.
Touchdown.
So they'll keep it. Every now and then it's nice to see the Romberg ego kept in check.
Get melted down a little bit?
Yeah, just a little. Not much.
But you know how quick I recover, though. It doesn't take much.
Not down for long. Five for 5 for Simcox up into the hill. And what's now 21 unanswered for Mike White and the Hilltoppers. A little bit of help from his defense. Overstreet in the picture right there has one of the 2 interceptions tonight. Around the league, said a collision course, La Tech potentially coming toward WKU in that title game. Old Dominion still yet to host Marshall. Middle Tennessee dropped today. Brent Stockstill ends up leaving in the second quarter with a shoulder injury. And Charlotte, how about Brad Lambert and the program that he's built? They end up topping Southern Miss today. They're in Hattiesburg. 11-point victory.
Seems like a lot of those original commits to Charlotte, a lot of those seniors that are there now, want to go out leaving a legacy of a program that has earned the right to kind of hang out and compete with this conference, making that move to FBS football.
11-play, 80-yard drive. Most of them have been in that 2.5, 3-minute range. Haven't taken long to score. What's amounted to 311 yards of total offense and 14 first downs tonight. And Ranella off the squib. And Jones, a little worse than a touchback to the 21-yard line. And they've averaged 9 yards a play tonight, the Hilltoppers. It's a team, though, that does not lose very often under Jeff Brom. 14-2 at home during his career. And 11-1 at home in the month of November. So they like when that calendar turns over. Happy Halloween? No. Happy Thanksgiving.
Either way, they're happy.
Yeah, when you score points like this, not a whole lot to be upset about. Gardner spinning his way for a few on first down. Wow, and there you see the success. Even Big Red says, wow, this is so good, it's scary.
It's one of those ooh moments.
10 straight home wins against conference opponents. And yeah, 14-2 under Jeff Brom.
And those 2 losses are only within 4 points.
Yeah, they don't, when they lose, blood pressure goes up a little bit. And a good start to this one, 35 first half points. Mike White, 216 yards through the air, and the 1 touchdown pass to Taywan Taylor. And Jeff Brom has to like what he's seen so far from his Hilltopper ball club. Moving toward a 4th straight, Coach Brom with Jordan Daigle on the sideline.
Thank you, Matt. Well, Coach, big plays on both sides of the ball. Is there any position group that you want to see more from coming in the second half?
Well, I like the play of our defense. The last few games we've played well. I think we've got good players. They're getting better every week. And I think we made some plays. We got some 4th down stops. We got a huge interception. I really like the way they're playing.
And y'all built a very nice lead. What is the message to sustain that and avoid complacency in the second half?
Well, we've got long-term goals to try to be a champion, but we got to take it one game at a time. But our goal is just to try to get better. I think this second half we want to come out, we want to execute, we want to take care of the ball, we want to improve on our weaknesses that we work on every week, and I'd like to play a good second half.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Some of those bubble screens, those big plays, the ones they wanted to eliminate, haven't had to worry about much of that. Taywan Taylor and the offense certainly taking care of their end of things. And Big Red doing lots of first half push-ups. 28-point lead for the Hilltoppers. Jeremy and company, highlights, scores, and more coming up on Be It Sports.
Wrapping up halftime in Bowling Green, Big Red smiling on a 4-touchdown lead for Western Kentucky over FIU. Alongside a guy that blocked for plenty of touchdowns but never scored one in college, Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci. This is one of those games that you know your quarterback's out for FIU. You have to be sewn up mentally. Miscues have doomed the Panthers tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately for FIU, one of the things that they couldn't do was give Western Kentucky more opportunities, and that's exactly what's been going on tonight with this game. You see here, the first attempt was an onside kick that they actually time out and redid in order to give Western Kentucky the short field, which obviously was a mistake. And then you hear a nice little pick six you got right now with LeVerick Johnson coming back and almost avoiding the dreadlock tackle, running back 61 yards, getting led by all 10 other players on his defense, running through offensive linemen to cross the big white line. And then you have, throwing off of his back foot, Mr. Alexander coming up a little bit short. That's a drive killer and a momentum killer when you do have the opportunity to come back and actually put 7 points on this game. You go ahead and just deflate the offense with that long drive, coming up with nothing.
So 28-point deficit. What was the message from Coach Cooper to the Panthers? Jordan Daigle ended up getting it. Jordan.
Thank you, Matt. Well, yes, caught up with Coach Cooper at the half, and he told me that he told his guys, he reminded them to maintain that effort and that they have finished strong every game and to not quit. He also said they are going to make adjustments in the secondary, specifically at the corner position, in order to try and contain this Western Kentucky high-powered offense.
Thank you, Jordan. Well, yeah, certainly plenty of adjustments necessary. Ron Cooper said last week he was never more proud of a team after going down 21-0 against Middle Tennessee. Blue Raiders have lost today, by the way. As Taylor gets us started in the second half. And big-time kickoff return for Kylan Towner. The first time we'll call the name of the top return man in all of Division I. What we see in the opening 30 minutes, 7 consecutive games with a touchdown run for Ace Wales, a pair of turnovers for the WKU defense, that wide receiver duo, and not a bad start for Maurice Alexander. Those 2 turnovers, the ones you want to wash away, but you know, that aside, much better than we saw him the first time around.
Yeah, and even coming into this game, we were expecting Alex Magoo. Granted, the fact that he had surgery coming into this week, and I imagine it was a short notice for Mr. Alexander to go ahead and get that starting job. He's done a good job.
Yep, little prep time. And speaking of prep time, Wales first carry of this second half, down the sideline, and some fireworks. 59 yards. The deck is stacked. Ace to the end zone.
Well, unfortunately for FIU, if they're not going to do it through the air, they're going to go ahead and do it on the ground with this big offensive line. I think you probably could have ran 60 yards for a touchdown through that hole, Matt. Wales untouched, flying up the sideline with that deceiving speed and going ahead and cradling that football and talking that baby and putting it to sleep.
11 carries, 101 yards, his 12th career game over the century mark in terms of on the ground. 19 seconds, all it takes. And Simcox says, hey, I like this. 6 for 6. Drive a truck through that right side.
Yeah, you had Cheeks on the right guard, but Cheeks kept poking his head inside in between the center and guard, thinking that he was going to come up that A gap, leaving a giant gap. And due to the fact that Big Diesel had his defensive end all tied up, there was a massive hole out the right side.
And Edwards getting locked up. $16 rushing touchdowns now on the year for Wales. 3 tonight. And the beat goes on for this Hilltopper offense. Now up to 370 total yards. And that puts their average yards of play at about 11 per clip almost.
Yeah, they got that nice, interesting rotation at right guard. Western Kentucky, given the ability to two guys that are clearly able to play the position, and one of Coach Brom's mottos is if you're good enough to play, you're going to play.
Gardner dips it back inside and out to the 28-yard line. 22-yard return. Well, what are you trying to do now? Down 5 touchdowns. You know what? You're a hard guy to ask about this scenario. You were never down 5 scores.
No, usually I was taking my shoulder pads off right now and hanging out on the sideline coming into halftime, the second half. But these guys came out flat. I'm not going to lie to you. The defensive front, the defensive running, the linebackers had their heels on the ground when they should have been leaning forward. And right now your offense has to answer the bell, Matt.
Alexander, this ends up being a busted play, but it works out in their favor. Darius Scott and gets Leston on the move inside the red zone. Brett Romberg loves that one. 5th catch of the night and a penalty flag, a couple of them down. Wow.
That is what you call freaking him. He just got freaked. He spun him all the way around.
Hold on, though. Yep.
Ineligible downfield on the offense. Number 75 and number 69. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay first down.
Ken Ante, our referee.
65 is the backside right tackle, and they're pulling him. He must not have been engaged. That's the problem with that. If you're going to be on a play action and you're pulling your offensive lineman and he's crossing the line of scrimmage, as long as he's engaged with a defender, they're going to allow that. He must not have been touching any of the defenders on that play. And there you go, he's downfield.
Daquan Wilkie, Steve Shankwauer, the offensive coordinator, very high on his play lately. Alexander trying to get back the 5 that they lost and picks up a few.
Just as much as WKU's pulling their offensive linemen, FIU's doing the same thing. They're getting Abshir all the way back around the front side closer to us down here, pulling around, meeting that linebacker. Abshir's done some real nice pulling tonight. I know he's get tripped up a couple times and fallen to the ground, but when he's up and at him, he's definitely meeting his linebacker and winning his battle.
Music to the ears of the relative of the late Louis Armstrong. Kai Abshir. Incomplete on second down, trying to set up that swing pass to Jones.
I don't like this. I don't like Alex Gardner chewing out his offensive linemen because they keep missing blocks. As much as I'm going to praise Abshir on the play before, he just let his man go scot-free right there into the backfield.
Hero shot, Amarius Bryant.
Big O.
Yeah, they say country strong. It's the term they use to describe him. A brute strength.
Yep.
Crossing pattern, Stanley Thomas gonna have to go a long way, and Leston ends up dropping him after what's a 3-yard gain.
Again, unfortunately, Alex Gardner had to take up one of these defensive linemen, busting through the line. He put a nice little move on center Montero right there. Kind of came through untouched.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you about this offense in terms of positivity. Owens is a junior, Gardner's a junior, Jones is a sophomore, Scott, freshman, Stanley Thomas, a freshman. You get most of everybody back. Some of your linemen going to graduate, but a lot of your skill guys, pretty much all your skill guys, are coming back. Wilson, another punt. And Towner this time. It'll be WKU ball with the 32. A couple minutes into this third quarter. Hilltoppers still rolling on beIN Sports.
Hilltoppers up big here in Bowling Green. Well, I am here on the Western Kentucky sidelines, and it would only make sense that this red towel statue would be right here, smack dab in the middle of the Hilltoppers benches. And this bronze hand is that of E.A. Diddle, one of the most successful college basketball coaches here at Western Kentucky and the originator of the red towel. As the story goes, it dates back to 1940, and originally it was just a common white towel that Coach Diddle was known for waving and throwing on the sidelines. However, Diddle was unhappy that students and athletes were walking off with all the white towels, so they came up with the idea of dyeing them red. But funny enough, everyone ended up with dyed red faces. So permanent red towels are manufactured, and thus a university legend had begun.
Yeah, certainly plenty of lore surrounding E.A. Diddle as Lucky Jackson makes a 16-yard catch. 4 different sports, won 1,040 games. 68% winning percentage for him. Football, baseball, men's and women's basketball. E.A. Diddle did not mess around. Neither does this Hilltopper offense.
I don't know if Mr. Diddle was a fan of going home to the fam.
Play fake. And Taylor breaking free. 5th catch of the night, Taywan Taylor. And near the red zone, give him a 20-yard catch and run.
You can see him do the nice little fake and pull the ball back out, and see his #1 receiver right there playing real big and strong, avoiding a couple tackles and getting some nice yards after contact.
And the old John Madden acronym, YAK. Military Appreciation Night, by the way. Here in Western Kentucky, the camouflage hats you see on the coaching staff. Norris, the motion man, jet sweep. Strung out and back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. Nico Gonzalez runs him out. Nick Norris calls himself the biggest trash talker of this team. Self-admitted.
Got a player down from FIU right now.
FIU.
Looks like a defensive lineman.
And Nick Norris watched a guy that you know all about growing up, Reggie Wayne, those Indianapolis Colts. Marcus Cheeks, the injured Panther. Tough night for FIU on beIN Sports. Busy night for the Pylons, not so much that back one, but 35-point lead for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Marcus Cheeks getting looked at on the sideline for FIU, and Mike White and company continue to operate here on 2nd and 10. And White finding the seam and a 1st down completion. As they'll keep moving it, it goes for 11 yards.
Can't help but
to Quinn Jernigan.
Notice how tall he stands in the pocket and his delivery and his follow through. Guy looks like he's been coached up pretty good, Matt.
Yeah, certainly has. He and Brandon Dowdy working with the same quarterback coach in the offseason down in Florida. Mike White close with Brandon Dowdy. They got to see him a week ago in the big blowout win over Florida Atlantic. Wales again, this time left side, and just as easy as the last. 4th touchdown of the night for Ace Wales. There's a lot of time left in this football game.
You see Wales come off the left side here. Jackson might have got away with something real special, but I don't think the referees are willing to stop the clock at this point.
They have 48 up on the board. Their season high, by the way, is 59. Simcox boots it through. His perfect night continues. Good night for Anthony Wales, whose Ace nickname ended up starting before high school. Had a coach in youth football that said he was his ace in the hole. And it stuck. They don't call him Anthony here. Well, Conference USA Eastern Division leaders. How did we see them in terms of this shaking out next few weeks? Rams and myself think it's the Hilltoppers. Jordan Daigle suffering a little bit today after that Blue Raider loss.
And with that quarterback being out on the sidelines with an arm sling.
And Brent Stockstill, and full disclosure, these were made before the start of this game.
Yeah.
And before Middle Tennessee ended up getting on the field today.
I never like doing my predictions until I see a team play. After watching what we just seen in the last 3 quarters right now tonight, I think our picks are pretty good. I think they're going to stand.
Jordan, do you want to change your pick? We'll give you a mulligan on Middle Tennessee.
All right, maybe we'll swap Middle Tennessee with Western Kentucky, maybe.
So a full sweep all the way around. Hilltoppers it is. La Tech, last we checked, was still up tonight. Like we said, maybe a collision course for that December 3rd title game.
Need a big return.
Gardner off the Ranella kickoff. That's not going to do it.
And you're not going to get it.
16-yard line or so.
One of my thoughts for going into tonight, Matt, was they needed a big return in terms of field position, whether it was for punt returns or kick returns. FIU's offense needed to start on a short field, and they also needed to keep the offense off of the field of Western Kentucky, needing only 3 minutes to score every time, but giving them interception after interception and pick 6. It didn't really aid anything FIU's way.
Well, I know who the Hilltoppers punter is, but we haven't really seen him much tonight. Jake Collins has only been out there, I believe, once. We've called his name. Maurice Alexander, they stick with it. This offensive line all of a sudden having a really tough night.
I believe both of their kickers are highly decorated, Matt, along with their center as well.
Yeah, Keith Brown, the first one to him here.
I know their center Halpin's been awarded with the Bullsworth Award in the candidate for the Bullsworth Award. Correction. Given to a walk-on who ends up becoming a heck of a contributor to the program, both academically and athletically.
Keith Brown, by the way, graduate, and trying to get that grad degree in athletic administration.
Mom's a teacher.
Yep. Gardner here on second down. Not going many places. More upfront pressure by Bryant.
I'm sure having your mom at high school, keeping an eye on things, kind of makes you walk the straight and narrow.
I mean, who was it? It was Emmanuel Ellerby, right? A few weeks back. And Alex Lyons. Yes. From Rice, whose grandparents certainly made sure that he was on top of his studies. Keith Brown's mom, I'm sure, same type of deal. 3rd and 18. And not much there. And there's Keith Brown again.
Now it looks like it's going to be a statistical game for the defensive guys. You're seeing linebackers trying to rack up tackles. Defensive linemen are playing a little bit more aggressively, trying to accumulate a few sacks, a couple hurries. They're doing a good job of getting rid of the football, though.
So it's a box score second half, huh?
I would rather not, but that's the way it's looking so far. Again, body language on the side. I know it's one of the things that head coach Cooper was emphasizing when he took over as the head man was, if you're not playing, you're cheering. I'm going to have a camera on you guys on the sideline. If you're not participating into the game, you're going to be cheering on the guys that are.
Speaking of cameras, anytime Towner touches the ball inside the 35-yard line, Fant's ankle is still tender. So they have Towner in on punt returns. And more field position here in Bowling Green. The originators of the red towel. E.A. Diddle would be proud of the Hilltoppers. Up big here on beIN Sports.
This game is brought to you in part by Volkswagen.
Well, WKU is all over FIU here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hilltoppers and their quarterback, Mike White, enjoying a nice lead. White, the second player under the tutelage of one Ken Mastro in the offseason, who's made his way here to Bowling Green, Kentucky. And former NFL quarterback Ken Mastro now joins us. The Mastro Passing Academy, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see Western Kentucky is putting a pretty good beat on those guys.
Yeah, that's where we'll start, Ken. Is White now out of this game? How much development have you seen from just since the time you started working with him? When did that relationship start for you and Mike White?
Yeah, that relationship started more towards the end of his junior year, starting into senior year, and when he was in high school. And he was a baseball player, so he was a pitcher, really highly sought after pitcher. Was one of the top guys in the state and considered for the draft. And, Mike just has always had kind of the physical tools and just natural gifted arm to play the position. And we've just kind of working ever since and just really trying to help him along kind of his path throughout college football as well.
And he and Brandon Doughty, obviously good friends. Things that, in terms of similarities that you see with the two of them.
Well, I think they're both just kind of, I think it was a great thing for Mike to go to Western Kentucky just because he learned from one of the best players to play at the NCAA level in terms of just how to go about your business, how to be a professional. And I think the similarities that you see is they both have a high passion for the game. They're both super talented. I mean, they're just gamers. I mean, they get out there, they make the team better. Obviously, Coach Brom's offense is one that many coaches across the country try to mimic or take plays off of, and I think a lot of people respect what he does as a kind of how he's kind of thinks outside the box. But I think both those guys are great fits because they can put the ball downfield. They're very accurate. They're great team leaders.
Tyler Ferguson now the quarterback, by the way, for Western Kentucky tonight. An injured Hilltopper down on the field as we come up on 3rd down and 10.
Ken, we always hear from coaches when we go and talk to them about their starting quarterback and how they've been molded and the comparisons that we kept hearing going into this game, and Doughty being so sought after. He's basically been in every press conference post game so far this year, so the shoes have been absolutely huge to fill, but clearly he slid right into those shoes and has had a heck of a year. What would you say to make the Western Kentucky fan base rest assured and be easy if they're not already so? What would you say they can look forward to with Mike White that might be a little bit better than the former quarterback Doughty?
Well, I just think this. I think if it's pretty obvious when you walk into the room, you walk into the stadium and you see Mike White, you see the physical intangibles, you see the size. He has an incredible upside in terms of what he can do with his arm. I think he's just scratching the surface, to be honest with you. He's been molded really well from a high school level. He was under a really good offensive coordinator by the name of Ryan Snyder all the way up through college and working with different guys, but in terms of Coach Brom and other coaches. But I mean, fans are yet to see what this kid can potentially do, and he's getting, the scary part is he hasn't even learned all the nuances of this offense and all the tinkering. Once he gets that under his belt this year and he continues to progress throughout the season, it'll just be like kind of in his sleep. He'll just be able to just kind of make those plays. There's plays out there as a quarterback sometimes when it's not there or it's blind, and you can't, just anticipation is just going to increase with him. And I think that's something that I think he's only going to continue to get better at.
Well, we pause for a second because Mike White's favorite target with Ferguson in, Taywan Taylor, taking a big-time hit and just walking off. Let's get one more look.
Yeah, unfortunately, he took that one right on the chin, popped his head back. But it's always good to see him walk off. He's going to be sore in the morning in the next couple of days to come, but it's always good to see the player get off vertical and walk off on his own will.
Ken Mastrol certainly knows a few things about being sore the day after a game. Multiple stints across NFL Europe and, of course, in the NFL as well. Finished up your career in 2004 in the Arena League. In terms of the pros and what you told Brandon Doughty before he ended up entering the realm of professional football, what was, I guess, the number one message? What was the biggest takeaway from your career that you applied to these two?
Well, I think it was when Brandon came down, he worked out together with another quarterback that I have that's with the Detroit Lions right now, Jake Rudock. Those two were together. We were training together heading into their senior season, and it was more about just kind of take this game in a professional manner. Everything you do from your preparation in the off weeks throughout a season, and I think they both, Brandon really took that kind of to heart and understood where his weaknesses were as a player and how he could get better as a leader. And I just think he just flourished that way. And I think Mike White's taken the same approach because he's been under the same tutelage with Brandon for a year.
Well, Ken, thank you very much. And I'm sure Hilltopper fans would probably want you on speed dial. You've given them 2 quarterbacks at this point. So I'm sure they'd thank you, and we thank you for stopping by tonight.
Hey, I appreciate it. Go Tops.
Ken Mastrol, the Mastrol Passing Academy down there in Florida. And under the tutelage, both Mike White and Brandon Doughty. 49-7 here. Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, BN Sports. Game 8 of 10. A couple more. The 19th, our next one. North Texas and Southern Miss. Middle Tennessee and FAU finishes up our schedule. Thanksgiving weekend. Christian Alexander, the new quarterback for FIU. And Gardner twists and turns his way a little past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we did get to miss the substitute quarterback. We got Ferguson that came in and ran that last series, but we really didn't miss much. Speaking of substitutes.
Yeah, Christian Alexander, former Lakeland Christian kid. Not a bad resume in high school. Said we saw him running 7-on-7 drills this week at practice. 2nd and 9, he'll try and show you the feet, and that's a tough place to run.
It looks like his legs were a little bit heavy, Matt. Trying to blow through that backside gap, but I knew the mind wanted him to move a lot quicker than they did, but looks like they're probably going to go to a run play after this one, is my guess. They might want to hand the football off. I know you want to ring his bell a little bit and get him used and acclimated and get him going in the football game, but it might be time now to go ahead and pass that ball off as opposed to him holding it.
42-point lead for Western Kentucky. By the way, Taywan Taylor not coming back from what we've been told, and obviously that would make sense. You're moving toward what you think is going to be a 4th straight win. Incomplete to Thomas here on 3rd down and 5. The rollout from Alexander.
That one came up a little bit short of home plate.
You watched that World Series?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Game 7, quite the way to finish.
The Bartman curse has been removed.
You think they go and find Steve Bartman? Do they fly him back from the Grand Cayman or wherever he happens to be?
He's actually, I think he's an accountant in Chicago. He's doing his regular thing.
Is he really?
Yeah. But he does have a lawyer that speaks for him. Not interested in making any appearances. I know he's been offered tickets and attending the game, and he just declines. He says he doesn't want to steal any thunder from the Cubs, especially during the World Series.
Just over 5 minutes to go in this one. Western Kentucky a year ago finished 24th in the Associated Press Top 25. What's going on around the Top 25 today? Alabama paying a visit to Leonard Fournette and the now interim Ed Orgeron-led LSU Tigers.
That's going to be a question. I wonder if he's going to stay on board. A lot of winning going on.
Ohio State and Nebraska. It's the only top 10 matchup this weekend. And a couple of those teams tops of the playoff rankings. Rough day for the alma mater for Donovan McNabb and myself. 54-0. Deshaun Watson ended up sitting down early. Clemson. And of course, Michigan up 35-0 at the half against Maryland. Ended up rolling right through there.
There you're going to get a good shot of the new quarterback, Tyler Ferguson. The one that a lot thought were going to be starting this year coming into this season. And was actually even used to light a little bit of a fire up underneath Mike White. I know the quarterback decision wasn't even made until 4 or 5 days prior to the season.
And by the way, good day for the Fighting Jordan Daigles at TCU.
What is their mascot called again, Matt?
The Horned Frog. Have you ever seen a horned frog?
What is that, like a unicorn?
Shamark Spence, the injured Panther. Inside 5 minutes to go here in the 3rd. Guy that filled in admirably during the Nico Gonzalez injury. Started a couple of games for FIU.
And talking with middle linebacker Keith Brown from Western Kentucky, he's very aware of all of his former high school guys that he would go against, Spence being one of them, and getting a nice little Facebook Live talking junk session.
Yeah, it was I think all the former Miami guys. Basically one group trash talk, I should say.
It was a collective effort.
Yep. Meanwhile, Lucky Jackson in Western Kentucky, 4-yard pickup, now up to 441 yards of total offense. Between these two teams, about 667 or so. Still a far cry from that Middle Tennessee and WKU matchup that produced over 1,100 a few weeks back. On the ground, Baker, who ended up fumbling earlier, first down yardage for Quentin Baker, who filled in nicely when Ace Wales ended up hurt. That Miami-Ohio game, ran for 103 yards and a touchdown. Had the first score of the night tonight on what was a couple of back-to-back carries. That seems like forever ago, early in the first quarter.
A couple of substitutions up front for FIU's defensive front. You're looking at Albury getting in there and Salisbury.
Did you do that on purpose?
I did.
Albury and Salisbury?
Yep.
Baker on the inside handoff.
I might be a little bit selfish when it comes to this, but I would like to see them get down near that red zone, because I was whispered to by a little birdie that there might be a special little play that they might be wanting to give some of the big men a little love, which I'm always looking forward to.
Yeah, Jimmy Sims on that right side. It's the right guard, the backup to Dennis Edwards. They've moved him to tight end. He started there the last couple games. We're thinking about maybe getting him the ball. Baker swarmed on 2nd down and 8.
Big Albury with the tackle.
Already did our championship picks in terms of who we think might emerge. Coach of the Year. Roms and I both Skip Holtz fans with the job that he's done in Ruston this year. Not a whole lot of starters coming back. Xavier Woods was the guy everybody talked about on that defensive side of the ball. And offensively, Carlos Henderson, Trent Taylor, and Ryan Higgins gotten the aerial attack going.
As impressive as Taywan Taylor's numbers are here, Matt, you're looking at a Henderson with, I think, 1,032 yards, and Taylor with 1,277, I believe, is his number. My memory's relatively decent with the numbers, but I am hedging my bet with the approximate.
And Jordan Daigle, of course, the Jeff Brom selection. Not a bad one.
Now, after what I saw tonight, but I think there might be a little bit of an advantage for the Broms. The fact that they have the younger brother as the offensive coordinator / QB coach, and then you have the other brother in the ops side of things, and then you have the mini Brom. I was joking with him, saying that they could probably have a little bit of a daycare center going on with all of the Brom children that are going to be hanging out at the facilities.
2-yard pickup. Well, Brian just joined the staff, younger brother of the 3. The oldest, Greg, is the director of operations here. And Jeff and Brian, both successful careers as former Louisville Cardinals. Jeff moving on to a pro career where he backed up Steve Young, ended up finishing up in the XFL. Brian finished up in the CFL after some stints in the NFL. Green Bay Packers, one of his stops. Jeff Brom, though, told us most fun he ever had playing football is Ferguson over the middle here on 2nd down and 8. Was the XFL down in Orlando, the Orlando Rage. Told us some funny stories about life there. Nicknames like He Hate Me, Rod Smart.
Said it was kind of ran like WWE for football.
And somebody out in the truck needs to find me who they used to call Death Blow. I can't remember that guy. But those were
I think he was the kicker. I think he was the kicker, to tell you the truth.
Was he not? No chance. There's no way.
Or the long snapper.
3rd down and 8. Ferguson and Jackson incomplete. Fred Russ, the backup middle linebacker, closest man to him. And FIU will get the ball back as we get ready to close out this third quarter.
That ball's coming off that hand relatively quick. Ferguson's got a rocket arm.
Well, and that's kind of been the MO. By the way, told death blow was Jamal Duff.
This is the long snapper.
There's no way.
He was the holder for the place kicker. That's who it was.
False start. Offense number 4. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Only the second penalty of the night for Western Kentucky. That's about all that's gone wrong. 463 yards of total offense. 4 rushing touchdowns for Wales, 1 for Baker. Mike White, in a rare night off, it feels like, only has 1 touchdown pass to his credit. And for the second time, we say hello to Jake Collins. Averages almost 44 yards a punt with a long of 60. And Thomas Owens got going early, but hasn't been heard from in a little while. Basically since that interception return for touchdown. And Collins to Owens at the 19. 45-yard punt. 29 seconds to go. Now FIU, you really have to give them credit under Ron Cooper. They still have Marshall and Old Dominion on their schedule. But to rip off 3 straight wins after starting the year 0-4 certainly has to be commended.
Well, they have seen the best teams in this conference. You know, it was a good barometer, especially going against La Tech, and then holding their own against Middle Tennessee as well, coming down to the wire with that pick 6 at the end of the game.
And like we said, a lot of the skill guys back on offense. Both of those talented linebackers are back on D. Here on 1st and 10, Alexander takes quite the shot from young Ben Holt.
If he's anything like his dad, that man is intense.
And they use him as a lead blocker from time to time. And look at this, into your living room. And that's how we end the third quarter. Ben Holt, redshirt freshman from right here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where the home crowd has certainly had a good time tonight. Sir Anthony Wales enjoying himself as well. 4 rushing touchdowns. Jeff Brom and the Toppers up big here on BN Sports. Active Saturday here on the Western Kentucky campus, Alchin Smith Stadium. 42-point lead for the Hilltoppers. Christian Alexander and FIU go to Austin Maloney. Ends up strung out. Martavius Mims, one of the backup corners in there, along with Drell Green. Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, Jordan Daigle down on the sideline. We are BN Sports, BN College. Game 8 of 10 here at Conference USA this year. And if you're joining us for the first time, hope you like what you see. We've been impressed by Western Kentucky. Offense averaging over 52 points the last few weeks for the Hilltoppers. Set up the second tight end. That's Branisell. Now here in Bowling Green, this is event number 2 of what is 3. Started with a volleyball game and a 3-set sweep over Middle Tennessee. Obviously moving toward a 4th straight win here in football, and then an exhibition game for Rick Stansbury and the Hilltoppers on the men's side. Had a chance yesterday to visit with former North Carolina great and now current assistant coach Shammond Williams over there at the basketball office. Toppers feel good about what they have this season and the potential incoming recruiting class they have. Nick Holt has to be happy with his defense this evening. It's allowed just that rushing touchdown to Alexander, and that's been all she wrote.
It looks like it's a direct repeat performance from last year. Going into FIU last year on senior day, winning 62-7.
Yeah, only difference in that one as they continue to get the ball out in open space. Because FIU, Shogo Yagunlie, first that we've called his name, was a guy they thought would contribute, but battled an early season injury. But the difference in last year's game, that first FIU touchdown didn't end up coming until about a minute into the fourth quarter. It was an Alex Gardner touchdown run. If you just happened to tune in tonight, the way things started, Alexander ended up getting them on the board. It was 14-7. Then, as we highlighted at the beginning of the second half, mental miscues ended up taking over. Austin Maloney catch and run off the feed from Christian Alexander, and into WKU territory they go. Maloney, another guy that they like, as Steve Shankweiler. You know, did he fall off a little bit in terms of his production? He said, no, it's more the competition from the other guys. Nick Holt wouldn't admit to us that he's the most animated coach.
He had to walk out the door.
On the staff, yeah. The end of our meeting yesterday.
He was trying to answer his question as he was walking out the door. No, let me think about somebody as I exit.
See you later. Alexander here on 1st and 10, lofting this one up, and that was almost a free ball for the WKU secondary. DeAndre Ferris giving chase. Well into that third string now for the Hilltoppers, at least in the secondary. And Nick Holt here on Military Appreciation Night said about half the males in the family seems like military service in one way or another.
And the ones that don't sound and look like they do.
Yeah. What did I say to you? Army Ranger. And run game, which was successful early on. Not quite so much anymore. Shondarius Phillips.
Well, you're getting a little bit of a mixture right now of a lot of these seniors and guys on the FIU sideline realizing that come a couple more weeks, their season is going to be done, Matt. They're not going to be going bowling. This game, they were playing for a bowl game, possible bowl berth. On the other side of the football, Western Kentucky looking to try to get into a championship.
463 total yards, flirting with almost 500 again for the Toppers. Play fake Alexander and setting it up.
Gunlier again.
Yep. Third down and 10 upcoming. Well, we talked about starters who are potentially coming back. Well, who are coming back. Owens, Maloney, Scott, Stanley Thomas, all those skill guys. The second string tight end, Branissell, will come back. At offensive line, Abshir and Wilkie. Montero, Saunders, and Joseph are all gone. But they like one of their backup linemen, in Neil Mars, who had started a couple games for them. And defensively, Williams and Wint are back. Silva is back. There's Stanley Thomas, who we just talked about, and picks up the first down, continues this drive. Emmanuel Lubin, as far as their secondary, Hines, Gonzalez, they're all back. 3 of their 4 members of the starting secondary.
Plus you get 2 of your horses in the backfield, both Gardner and Jones.
That's right. And Magoo, of course. And Alexander. Don't think you're going to work a 2-quarterback system, but at least you know that Alexander, when called upon, can move the football, can put together some drives, can do some things. Christian Alexander, meanwhile, fighting his way for extra yardage. 8-yard gain for Alexander.
That was a good job by Alexander picking that ball up out of the dirt. A little bit of a low snap. That always hurts your momentum as a quarterback when you're trying to run.
The 3 quarterbacks, by the way, since everybody is either Alex or an Alexander, whether it's surname or first name, they call themselves the Alexanders.
Really?
That's what Alex Magoo had said.
I'm sure if you check Magoo's birth certificate, I'm sure it says Alexander on it, full name. I get it.
Yeah, you shed it. Shed those last few letters.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. Oyegunle.
That's probably his 3rd or 4th attempt on him tonight. Looks like he might have a favorite wide receiver.
And
looks
developing
like,
that combination.
Looks like they've been doing some 7-on-7 together.
Shug Oyegunle.
I think we've said his name 3 or 4 different ways tonight, to tell you the truth.
I think we got it, though, now.
Give it to me one more time.
Oyegunle. Taylor tacks on the extra point. Oyegunle. There it is. Pronouncing it right. Gets them in the end zone for the 2nd time on Be It Sports.
This game is brought to you in part by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
A 12-play, 81-yard drive. They take 6 minutes off the clock. Shug Oyegunle, 11-yard touchdown catch for FIU. Lucky Jackson and the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers ready to get the football back. With Brett Romberg, Matt Martucci, Jordan Daigle down on the sideline. Taylor into the ball, this one a little short. And Towner ends up dropped. And Hilltoppers get another possession here on Be It Sports.
This game is brought to you in part by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Hilltoppers up big in Bowling Green. Well, for senior long snapper Nolan Dowling, he said it took him 2 tries to hit all 3 bottles and 12 tries to snap the ball into the trash can. If you're like me and curious how one decides to become a long snapper, for Nolan it all started in the 8th grade. He and his friends were throwing the ball around, and since he didn't have a strong arm and said he threw the ball funny, he tried throwing it between his legs with both arms as hard as he could, and when he showed his dad informed him that that was in fact a football position. So come freshman year of high school, Nolan was a tight end, a linebacker, and his team's long snapper. And well, we see where his gifts and talents lie.
Yeah, Jordan Nolan told us the other day, recently engaged. He and his fiance live together here in Bowling Green and haven't quite set a date yet, but in terms of his proposal, they had gone to dinner about an hour away in Nashville. And his fiance basically had wanted them to make it a special occasion. And he had set up the engagement at that point. As Eccles loses the football here, and going over to FIU as the Panthers recover, but sticking with Dowling, he had given the ring to a couple next to them that was having dinner. And his fiance had asked them to, or he had asked them to take a picture of the 2 of them before all of this happened. And his fiance was getting a little perturbed. He said, no, don't bother that couple. And he said, yes, that they're okay. They can take the picture of us. So eventually they figured it out. Nolan got the ring, and they're engaged. He's talking about passing out Halloween candy in their neighborhood the other night. How'd that go in the Romberg household?
We don't get many kids in my neck of the woods.
I feel like Alonzo Mourning's children are grown by now, right?
Everybody's kids are grown up. My neighborhood's a little bit elderly.
Tiffany and Mila need friends to grow up next to. You need to figure that out.
I do. That's one of the things I probably am going to struggle with.
9 minutes and change here left, Bowling Green. Alexander in this offense get another shot to put the ball in the promised land. And set up Maloney here on 1st and 10. They couldn't hold the blocks. Stanley Thomas trying to hold one of them and maybe picked up one. Thomas, a guy they're very high on. Say his hometown, since you're bilingual.
What, the Punta Gorda? The Fat Point.
That's right.
Or Chubby, if you want to be nice.
Thomas, 26 catches coming in. 5 for 48 tonight. Alexander, meanwhile, looking for another touchdown pass, potentially. End zone. And there it is, Maloney. Second touchdown catch of the year for Austin Maloney. And a pair now for Alexander.
Nice little in-route post right here. Found a nice little spot to sit down in, splitting the two safeties and corner. Holding on to the football. They do have some promising young guys, Matt, that are going to be coming back next year. Some really talented, athletic players. It's all about just getting rid of and flushing the mindset of what's been going on in the last couple of years.
Taylor takes care of the extra point. The future is bright for the Panthers. Unfortunately, Western Kentucky offense, a little too much tonight on beIN Sports. First dose of the college football playoff rankings came out earlier this week. Surprise, surprise, Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide up at the top. Deshaun Watson, Clemson Tigers. Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, Texas A&M.
This really looks like my list from earlier today.
Oh yeah, is it?
Texas A&M didn't come through for me, so I had to put in my team when it came to the list.
The Brett Romberg Final Four and championship. We'll give you a look at that in just a little bit. Somehow I don't think the Canes are getting there this year.
I beg to differ.
Just a hunch.
They're always champions in my mind.
It's very nice of you. Out to the 31-yard line for Towner.
Obviously, you did not see what happened with Pittsburgh today.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw.
I'm back in.
Your buddy Kaya had, what, 4 touchdown passes, I think it was? Something along those lines.
It was all about the offensive line. They only gave up 1 sack today, much like Western Kentucky's offensive line, much like Dallas Cowboys and Oakland Raiders. It seems like the common theme, if you want to be successful, is you got to have a good offensive line.
Yeah, Western Kentucky, who we've seen tonight, certainly has one. Hilltoppers finished 24th last year, the final AP poll. As Eccles the handoff, 8-yard pickup. It's Marquez Trigg. Trigg, one of the guys that filled into the first half a week ago when Anthony Wales was suspended from that fight at the end of the Old Dominion game. And back to the well they go. Trigg near first down yardage. But yeah, that 24th ranking, last time they'd been ranked that high, or ranked 24th, all the way back to 1979. And their first appearance in the top 25 of the FBS era. So Jeff Brown with this program certainly in the right direction as the evolution from FCS to FBS hasn't been all that long. Trigg again, first down, picks it up. Inside 7 minutes to go.
This is something that's going to make the locals a little bit happy. You see the Louisville WKU series rekindled. Hasn't happened since '98. The first one is going to go down in Louisville. You see them go ahead and get a little bit of a neutral site, playing at Titans Stadium, where the Tennessee Titans are playing. And then they follow it up in 2020, back again at Louisville.
Yeah, after Bobby Petrino, a rental year, if you will. Back in 2013, one of the stipulations of his contract, if he did end up going anywhere else, that wherever it would have to be, that new school, that they would set up, or he would at least try to set up a home and home. An injured FIU Panther, Fred Russ, backup middle linebacker behind Anthony Wynn. (49-21) tonight. FIU playing shorthanded. Alex Magoo, the quarterback. Jonnu Smith out. Magoo wrist surgery earlier in the week for Ron Cooper's club after sustaining it in the loss to Middle Tennessee. Undisclosed injury for the tight end Jonnu Smith, but a big part, ended up scoring their first touchdown a week ago in that come from behind, what ended up being a 1-touchdown loss.
Yeah, they needed all their weapons tonight to come in here and even have a shot against Western Kentucky. Their stud NFL tight end, Mackey, candidate.
And the ground attack continues with Trigg, who has himself a nice future potentially ahead of him.
You still see the offensive line dominating here, regardless if it's the first string or second string. Putting them big fellas in there, getting some work at the end of this game. They do have a couple seniors on their offensive line as starters. They're going to be missing their big stud left tackle, Lamp. I asked Lamp about his numbers because I'm kind of concerned about what he's got going on next year going into the NFL draft, and he was really quick to answer my question. He was very aware of his numbers.
Trigg on 1st and 10.
It's one of those things where you should not know your numbers.
Well, and explain to the folks out there what you mean by your numbers, your 225, your reps.
Repping 225 on the bench is one of the common things that you do when you go to the combine. You get invited to the NFL combine. It's a basic way to gauge how strong you are. So they'll put 225 pounds on the barbell for the bench press, and you're going to go ahead and see how many times you could do that.
What'd you do, T-Rex Arms?
30. Repped out 30 because of Butch Davis pulled me in and just made me go when I wasn't even ready. I got a bone to pick with him about that. But yeah, Mr. Forrest Lamp ended up getting 35 reps of that. Sitting down with him, I was really impressed with him. And I know NFL scouts are going to be impressed with him too once they start sitting down with him and talking to him.
8-yard pickup on the ground.
He's up just for just about every award out there.
At Venice, Florida.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Venice, Florida, city on the Gulf.
Yeah, big Tampa Bay Bucks fan. Not to spoil any other NFL team out there, but he is partial, obviously, to the Bucks being from around the corner. But 46 starts, 2-time team captain. He's not a drinker at all, doesn't even drink. Which for a college offensive lineman, coming from a former college offensive lineman, is a little shocking.
Inside 4 minutes to go. Trigg touches the ball again. Wales finished the night with 111. Baker 10 carries, 61 yards. Trigg had his 9th touch of the night. Certainly building a nice foundation in the backfield after Wales is gone. One of those captains, he and Lamp. Here on 2nd and 14. Now they'll throw it with Eccles. And Will Bush ripped out of bounds. Actually scored his first career touchdown against these guys a year ago. And up until that play, it only had 1 catch this year. It went for 35 yards. And that one goes for 7.
As unimportant as this might look to the fan that's out there, getting these young men in, the 2nd and 3rd string fellas in there and getting them some game time, allowing them to see other opponents, it's imperative as the future of this program continues to build and continues to have success. It's one thing to constantly watch the Lamps and the Mike Whites and the Max Halpins and Ace on the football field and cheering them on, but you got to get some of the action as well.
Yeah, there's certainly depth. Joe Manley, one of the guys in that offense that you get a look at. Looking at what we have left. A couple weeks, trip to Denton, Texas. Mason Fine, the fine freshman quarterback for the Mean Green, against Nick Mullins and the Golden Eagles. We had a tough day today. Frank Wilson and the UTSA Roadrunners with a big win. And then FAU at Brent Stockstill in Middle Tennessee. Shot to the end zone here, and incomplete. Bush, again, the intended target.
Big rumor mill going around right now in South Florida is that Butch Davis is an impossible candidate for becoming the head coach of FIU, or if Coach Cooper is going to stay on board. I know it's one of the conundrums that they're going to be dealing with after this season.
Well, I think just in seeing the difference in energy for these two, you know, based on Ron Turner versus Ron Cooper, could certainly make that case. Making a case for Brett Romberg.
Number 69, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And his FBS playoff picks. Talked about the top 25 earlier. As far as Rom's Final Four here for the playoff.
Oh, I did slide in Miami above Michigan. Better believe it.
I think you need your head examined.
I just love seeing that picture. That you. I am going with Alabama, though.
Alexander gets dropped here. And big hit at Nick Coffey. And Nick Coffey, the one to drop him.
That's that gut blitz up the middle.
Actually, correction, it's White. Coffey in there.
You see Holt's son right now come in and take on that running back, but oops, here comes the looping safety right around him. That's that gut X blitz. Quarterback got to see that thing coming. He's got to get rid of the football.
And Masai White might as well be a starter. Started a pair of games when TJ McCollum ended up going out. Wonder if that woman's going to the basketball game. I'm sure it's a lot warmer over at EA Diddle Arena. They're about to start an exhibition game in all of 20 minutes. Inside handoff. And Trigg close to first down yardage. On his 10th carry, picks up 8. Are you going to the basketball game, Brett?
I'll be there in spirit. I will be there in spirit.
It's very nice.
But no.
You'll be missed. I'll let you know how it goes.
Please do. Please do. I know it's been an action-packed day on campus here. You could really live the college life today. Get ready a little early, little brunch. Maybe get up and have a spot on lunch. Move it over to the volleyball game and
sure
catch this football game, and then go ahead and bounce it right over to the basketball game. Why go anywhere else?
With lots of extracurricular activities in between.
Plenty.
90 seconds to go. And Eccles and the Hilltoppers finishing this out. And they go Trigg on 3rd down and 2.
Nice stance right there. Group of white helmets coming in. There's about 7 of them making the tackle and the stop.
North Texas and at Marshall, what Western Kentucky has left. Home against the Mean Green next week. And they'll spend their Thanksgiving weekend in Huntington for Saturday, the 26th matchup. That's when we'll finish our season here on BN Sports. And Murfreesboro. 1st and goal, Trigg stacked up.
Some of these young defensive linemen, Matt, have a little bit of surge and life left in them. Blowing up the offensive lineman down blocks. They're trying to block down across the football. Gap blocking is what it's called. Trying to create a lane.
Now Jeff Brom and company walking toward what is a 4th straight win. They'll move to 7-3, 5-1 in Conference USA, still positioned atop that East Division. Maybe potentially waiting for a rematch with La Tech in that December 3rd title game, but still a couple weeks worth of work to do before that. That will do it for us here from Bowling Green, Kentucky. For Brett Romberg, Jordan Daigle, producer Neil Gallo, Big Red, and our entire fine crew. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Matt Martucci saying so long. Western Kentucky rolling big, 49-21. Good night from beIN Sports.